Hello everybody and welcome back to another December daily video. My name is Amy Gretchen and today I am going to be working on days 20 and 21 from the year 2022. So this is day 20 that I'm working on, and I have done this in the past. I think this may be my third time. I think I did it in my 4x6 album for the first time, and I loved it so much that I did it again last year, and I'm doing it again this year because first of all, I think it pairs really well with our Christmas card, and I love seeing the stamps. I think this is an awesome way of looking back at history to see some of the most popular stamps. As you can see, I have a bunch of stamps that are flags that aren't even Christmas related. I think there's one of a piece of fruit, looks like a lemon or something like that. I love all stamps. I think they're magical and they're so fun, mostly because they bring snail mail to your home, and I am just a huge fan of getting letters in the mail. Isn't it just so, I mean, I've loved it since I was a little girl, like going to the mailbox and actually seeing something with your name on it. That rarely happened to me, but when it did, it was like the most magical thing ever. And so I think this is what these stamps represent, but also, like I said, a really good indication of history, just, you know, what our stamps looked like at the time. So whether they look like Christmas or not, they came on the Christmas cards, and I loved incorporating them into this spread. I feel like having an album this small is really nice because, you know, sometimes some years you get a lot more cards than other years. And so it's just been super nice to, you know, be able to have the space. If you don't have very many stamps, then, and you have like a larger album, you could definitely just do a little cluster, or you could put it into a 3x4 card or a 4x6 card and put it into the slot that way and just have it be almost like a pattern paper. Or you don't have to have, like if you have a 6x8 album, you don't have to have a 6x8 page. You could definitely do 4x6, or even this size that I'm doing, which is 4¼ by 5½. You can include different sizes into your albums. I definitely like doing that. One of the things that you're seeing me do as I'm hearing everything down is I'm popping some of them up with some foam tape. So I really love the look of this. It's hard to see on video, but in real life, it looks really, really great to have some things popped up and some things totally flat on the page. I tended to pop up my favorite ones. Well, I tried to put my favorite ones in the middle. I have a friend who is from overseas, and every time I get her Christmas card, it makes me so happy because I love seeing her Christmas cards because she's so creative, but also it's so fun to see the different stamps that come from different countries. So there really is no rhyme or reason which ones I pop up. Like I said, I tend to kind of pop up my favorites, and then as I'm going along, I'm like, this one makes sense to pop up. So I just kind of then randomly pop up ones that look like should be popped up, if that makes sense. I just am kind of doing everything by feel. And of course I had some that were going off the page, so I just cut, you know, around everything. And you can see that one, I was like, oh, I really want to pop that one up. So anyway, you guys, I just cannot say enough about how much I love the look of this. If you have not done this in one of your December dailies, definitely do it this year. It is so fun. I love going back and looking at them, and it's such an easy day. It's, you know, I mean, it takes some time to cut it out and to arrange it, but it actually doesn't take that much time, and I love having it. All right, you guys, so I mentioned that I paired this with our Christmas cards. So the Christmas cards that I get every year are 5x7. I actually considered doing a 4x6 this year just because of the size of my album, but I decided I really wanted to do a 5x7 like I normally did. So I was thinking, how am I going to add this into my album? And I just decided, you know, I'm just going to cut it down. I'm just going to cut it down, and it's going to cut off some of the writing, and it's going to be okay. Mostly because I also put our Christmas card in my project life. So I am going to have this somewhere else. And of course, my mom always keeps one, and I feel like I always have extra anyway. but I didn't feel bad about cutting it down. And in fact, I actually kind of liked the look of it. If it does bother you and you've got a smaller album, maybe just do a smaller card that year. But it didn't bother me at all, and I actually really liked it. So I'm just looking at the page, and I feel like I just wanted to add one more thing. There was a lot of black on the right side from our photo, and so I ended up adding that black chipboard that said "Most Wonderful Time." Thinking about adding another one, but decided I would just stick with that one. I think it was from Paisley Press, if I am correct. And of course, you saw that I used my favorite red number circles stickers for adding a 20 there. All right, you guys, so that was day 20, and we are moving on to 21. So one of my favorite things, by the way, I feel like I say that a lot with December Daily, but one of my favorite things this year was my use of the stitch dies from Spellbinders. I loved these so much. I honestly cannot tell you, if you buy one thing to use in your December Daily, have it be these stitch dies. They were so much fun to play with, and they added something very special to your album. If you have not seen my day 2, I believe it is, there was a Christmas tree that I did with some pink floss. Oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved it. I literally wanted to do it for every day, but I was like trying to hold back, and I'm trying to think about how I could actually do it for this year. I'm thinking Spellbinders will likely have more Christmas stitch dies, and I might just have to invest again because they were literally my favorite. Spellbinders does have a stitch kit of the month, so if you are interested in doing more stitching, you could check that out. They have a lot of stitch options. I will link to these die cuts that I used. One thing I did want to mention, the first time I put it through, it did not cut all the way, so I just put it on one more time, and it fit together like a puzzle. And then I just send it through one more time on my die cut machine. And I am using the Spellbinders die cut machine. It is the larger one. They have a smaller one. Mine is big enough that an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper could go through. And I wanted to do that specifically for scrapbooking, so that's why I bought the larger size. All right, so you can see that I've pulled over some floss. I decided that I wanted to do some green, and I wanted to do something that wasn't traditional, like the, kind of the evergreen that you would normally see. And I definitely wanted to do an ombre as well. So I grabbed over some mint colors. I've got a lighter mint and then the darker. I am using 3 strands of floss, and what you saw me do, and I think you'll probably see me do again, is just I pulled one floss out at a time, because that is the easiest way to do it without getting everything knotted up. Just do one at a time and it comes out so simple. I know it doesn't sound like it would, but I promise that it does, so give it a try. So I am going to I think I slowed down here a little bit, not like to 100%. I am going a little bit faster, but I wanted you to see. So if you don't want to see this stitching because you know how to do it and you don't feel like you need to see it and you can figure it out on your own, that's great. I will have a timestamp down below and also up here in the corner, so you could just jump. I think it's to the 13-minute mark. So you can just jump and you don't need to watch any of the stitching. But if you're interested in seeing the stitching, stick around and you can see it. Basically what I'm doing is I'm starting in the center, and then I'm going out and going back to the center, and then I'm going to the next hole up, and then I'm going back to the center, and then I'm going to the next hole up. And I'm basically going in a circle, which is around the diamond, until I get to the end, and then I'm skipping over to the next one, and I'm doing the exact same thing into the center and then out to the side. Now, Spellbinders is so great with their dies. So this particular die, and I believe all their stitch dies, at least that I have, there is a light embossed line that shows you where the stitching should be so you can see it. I'm wondering if you can, every time I kind of shift it to the light, I'm wondering if you can see those embossed lines, but it will help you as you're stitching to know where to go next or how it should look. So like I said, I'm going to show you the top, and then I will show you the bottom, and then I believe I show you how I'm tying off for each of them. but it's not hard to do. It does take a little bit of time. I'm not exactly sure how much time this took me because I didn't look before I sped up this video, but you know what? Let me look and see if I can see on my raw files. And it looks like this video is 52 minutes. And I think I did start right when I pulled out my floss. So that's less than an hour. And keep in mind, I'm not 100%, I can't remember what's at the end of this video, but I think it's not just the stitching. I think there is some stuff in the end of the video. So it can take some time depending on how fast or how slow you are. But the best thing to do is put on a show, put on a Christmas movie and stitch. I find this to be very therapeutic and I absolutely love it. And like I said, I think it adds something very, very special to your December Daily album. You will definitely see more stitching in my album this year just because I can't resist, because like I said, it adds some magic. All right, so we are moving on to the second color and it's a little bit different design. So I'm going to start up in the top hole and then I'm just going to go down the holes, and it's a tear shape, I guess I would say. And I decided to tie the end into a knot. I think that you could definitely do some tape if you wanted to, but I didn't want to see the tape through the holes. These holes are pretty big and I didn't want to see the tape through. And so I just decided to tie it in a knot. And at the end, you'll see that I actually put some glue on it just to kind of secure it a little bit. But with everything taped down, I just have no issues with this coming off at all. So anyway, that's how I start and that's how I end everything. And you'll see that I'm just going from the bottom and then back through the center and then the next one up and then back through the center. So everything goes back through the center. And like I said, there are lines, there are some embossed lines to kind of help you see what it's supposed to look like. So anyway, I think that I go a little, I'm going to show you a little bit more so you can kind of see what this looks like, and then I will skip through to the end. I really do hope that you guys will give this a try. And one of the things that I think is really great is you don't even need to use a stitch die. You could literally like write out a word if you wanted to and punch some holes and then do like a running stitch and like have a word. You could have it in print, you could have it in cursive. You could even print it out in reverse, maybe like on the back of your paper, punch the holes, and then, you know, obviously stitch through the front part. And I think that that would be really cool also. So you don't have to have a die to do it, or you could do it instead of using a sewing machine. Of course, you could use a sewing machine, right, to do like a border. But instead of using a sewing machine, you could use floss like this and you could do a border, like a running stitch border or something like that. There's a lot of different stitches out there, different kinds of stitches out there that you could maybe research and you could do just to add, you know, like I said, a border or something where it doesn't really need to be complicated. All right, so we're moving away from the stitching, and I am going to continue to use my die cut machine because I'm going to die the word gratitude, because this is a gratitude page that is a list of all the things that I have been grateful for. I would say probably in the last week of Christmas or leading up to Christmas. That is the things that I was grateful for. I had this great idea that I was going to put a quote on this acetate. You can see that I don't know if you can tell, but there is some clear acetate on there already. And I just had this idea like, okay, I'm going to put this quote. I actually had the quote that I printed out with vinyl from 2021 and I never used it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to use it this year. And I had the hardest time getting it off of the release paper. And so I just decided to bag it and I decided to do something different. And you'll see what I'm going to do different, but I definitely wanted to put in this gratitude word. So this die cut, I believe, came from Simon Says Stamp. If I can find it, I will have it linked below. If I can't find the exact one, I will find something similar because I know that they have similar things to this for sure. So instead of doing the vinyl, which was in gold, it was written out, it was a quote. So instead of doing that, I decided to grab over this transparency that I have that has these gold stars I have a bunch of these sheets. I probably bought 10 of these sheets because I did not want to run out. And they have probably shown up in every single one of my December dailies, which actually makes me super happy that there is like one consistent embellishment besides the circle number stickers that keep showing up in my December daily. I never worry about that. I like the repeat. I even like the repeat of doing similar things, like having a gratitude list or doing the stamps like on day 20. So anyway, super simple. I just ended up using the scallop die that came with the stitch to make sure that it matched the edge. And then, I'll need to cut it down. I haven't cut it down quite yet. This acetate was a little bit thicker and I ended up having to use a metal shim to help me cut through it, but it did cut through it no problem and it didn't hurt my machine or anything like that. So I just went ahead and cut down the acetate. You can see that I was using tape to kind of keep it all together so it wouldn't shift as I cut it down. And then I grabbed over some numbers. I believe these ones came from, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't think they are available any longer, but if I can find something similar, I will definitely have it linked below. This is something you could easily create with the foil quill or with a silhouette. You could just cut out the numbers if you wanted, or you could stamp it and cut it out by hand. There's so many ways you can do this. There are gold pens. You could create the detail with a gold pen as well. So I feel like there's a lot of ways that you could create something that is similar. All right, so the last thing that I need to do is just add my holes. So day 20 was 2 pages and day 21 is only going to be on the right side because my, our family Christmas card is on the left side. So anyway, you guys, that is going to be it for days 20 and 21. I hope that you're able to get some inspiration. I cannot tell you enough how simple both of these days were in that it's really great to just have a day that's a list of gratitude. And you can look in my past albums. I have done that several times. And you can get an idea of how to include that into your album, and then also including your Christmas card. And it can just be as easy as including your Christmas card, which I have also done in the past. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.